She has been manipulative. She has isolated my son from me and the rest of his family. And behind closed doors, she's going to make my son's life a living hell.
Whoa, Brandan's mum doesn't hold back, does she? The thing is, she's spot on with all that she's saying. So is this harsh parenting exactly what Brandan needs to come to his senses before his wedding day? Or is this all just too late?
As far as me and Mary having some sort of good relationship, that's not happening.
Brandan's mum has come to the Philippines on a mission, and it's not to extend an olive branch with Mary. Now, before we get to her, let's just start at the beginning. So we left the pair last week with Brandan making promises to be a better partner. That after getting Mary's grandfather's blessing to marry her. He was keen for them to get married sooner rather than later. You got the sense that for him, that decision was largely driven by the gossiping of the community, rather than the strength of Mary and Brandan's relationship. But when we join them in this episode with Mary now 5 months pregnant and them 2 weeks away from their wedding day, the pair are shopping for wedding clothes.
Brandan has been living here in the Philippines for 6 months, and our wedding day is in 2 weeks.
I like it. Abby.
Wow, it's been 6 months already. I guess it's really true what they say. Time really flies when you're having no. No, time really flies. Let's just leave it at that. So, as Mary tries on her wedding dress, she reveals that Brandan hasn't actually changed as much as he promised to. So, is that actually true? Or is Mary just being difficult?
Problem is, he's still playing his game so much, and sometimes he doesn't help me with chores, but he's not shouting anymore.
With these two, it's impossible to tell who's actually giving us the more accurate version of the truth. Like, was Brandan really shouting as much as Mary implied? Because we never saw it. The only evidence of that, if you can even call it evidence, was some really grainy, really sneaky footage that she took that seemed like she was almost goading him into a fight. Even then, he wasn't shouting at her. He did swear, but he was actually asking her to have a conversation. Either way, when the bridal shop informs Mary that it will all cost 8,600 pesos, or about $150, for both of their outfits, she reveals that they have found themselves a new source of income.
We're still having problems with financials, but I came up with this idea with one of my friends in Manila that works in there to sell cell phones in order to make money.
It's definitely not a foolproof plan, but given their business expertise, it was never likely to be, was it? So Mary's ordered a bunch of cell phones off the internet, and her Facebook friends are the ones buying them.
Friends on Facebook will message me that they want to order, and we will deliver them.
Now, I'm not exactly sure about the longevity of that business model, if her main market is her friends on Facebook. But at least for now, they are making money. The profit margins are better than their grocery store. Even if, in the grand scheme of things, they are still quite low.
They give me a profit like 1K per unit, which is not a lot, but for me, it's a lot.
Look, $18 profit per phone is a heck of a lot better than the 56-cent profit that they were making at their snack stand. But obviously, it's not a gold mine. They're not going to be retiring anytime soon. In order to cover the costs of their wedding outfits, Mary would need to sell about 10 phones. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I highly doubt 10 of her friends need phones right now. And it seems like Brandan is thinking exactly the same thing.
Is there no way we could just do something a little simpler where, we're not renting a venue, save money, maybe?
Quite wisely, Brandan is concerned. He recommends cutting back on the wedding. That money would be far better spent on their baby rather than a venue for a couple of hours. But Mary shoots down that suggestion. She tells Brandan that culturally in the Philippines, weddings are a really big deal. There's normally lots of guests invited. So for that reason, Brandan's suggestion is completely knocked back. Mary goes ahead with the purchase. She's confident that they can afford it, and Brandan just accepts. He seems like he doesn't want a fight.
We don't need more drama. We don't need more stress, especially because my mom's coming to visit to be here for our wedding.
Ah, that's gonna be fun. Look, we know that Brandan's mum is convinced that this relationship is toxic. Her and Mary don't get along. She's been very vocal about it. She's told us straight up that she doesn't like Mary. She was very vocal about not wanting Brandan to move to the Philippines. So Brandan has a lot of work to do to prove to his mum that this was the right decision for him, even though we all know it absolutely wasn't. So how's he gonna go about that task? How's he going to convince his mum? Like, what's he gonna feed her for dinner, for example? Well, how about frog?
Tonight, me and Mary, her brother, and his friends are frog catching. Get it, bro? Nice. We're gonna prepare them and cook them up in an adobo.
So Brandan reveals that when he first arrived in the Philippines, Mary's family apparently used to feed him frog, but pretend that he was actually eating baby chicken. He claims that he developed a taste for it, and apparently frog is delicious. So he didn't really seem to mind. He had no issues when Mary's family finally came clean about what he was really eating. Now, I suspect that finances probably also played a part in his acceptance of the whole thing. But you do really have to question why he thinks the same exact plan is good for his mum too.
Are you sure it's a good idea that we're gonna feed your mom frog?
Yeah, I'll take responsibility if she doesn't like it. So, my mom is coming to the Philippines tomorrow.
Oh, Brandan, something tells me your mum isn't gonna be as chill about this as you are. I mean, just tell her what she's eating. Lying to her and telling her it's chicken, while that might have been okay for you, isn't gonna be okay with everyone. Especially someone who already has their guard up. Already distrusts Mary and her family. That decision could backfire drastically, but Brandan is choosing to see it as a prank.
Growing up as a kid, I was always like throwing little gags her way. So hopefully it'll break the ice a little and it goes well.
That's an interesting way of looking at things, Brandan. It's an interesting way of breaking the ice, of reconnecting with your mum. You get the sense as he's talking that Brandan is nostalgic about his childhood years. The years where his life was normal. Look, by the age of 15, Brandan's mum had developed a drug habit. He and his siblings were split up. They were placed in different homes. That must have been incredibly traumatic for him. So as misguided as this whole frog prank might be, it feels like an attempt to reconnect with the good times, the days where they could prank each other before distance grew between them.
Right now, me and my mom, we're not exactly close. My mom's relationship with Mary is not good at all. They've pretty much hate each other from the start.
Brandan reveals that despite making a promise that he'd stay in regular contact, right now he's only speaking to his mum about once a month. That's not a lot. Now, we all know that the main reason for that is Mary, and Brandan's mum has a very good reason to dislike Mary. Even when Brandan was in the States, Mary was the reason he stopped going to visit his mum and sister. Mary didn't like him hanging out with women. It's seriously messed up. But as Mary's brother skins and guts the frogs, the pair talk about his mum's arrival.
I told her to come here with an open mind, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little nervous too.
She and I got a lot of problems.
Brandan's mum's addiction has clearly had a lasting impact on Brandan. Perhaps that might be a reason why Mary dislikes her. She's seen the negative consequences that her actions have had on the man that she loves. Don't forget, Mary was abandoned as a child, so maybe she sees Brandan's mum's drug addiction as a form of abandonment. She lost the right to look after her kids after all. Either that, or maybe the explanation is actually much simpler than that.
Every time she's on the phone with Brandan, she's just ignoring me. She's always just being a bitch to me.
Sorry, Mary, but Brandan's mum is just doing what we all wish we could do. That doesn't make her a bitch. Now, in all seriousness, Mary needs to get over these issues with Brandan's mum. Why? Well, because it's not about her. This is about Brandan. Brandan's voiced his desire to mend his relationship with his mum, and his mum is clearly serious too. I mean, she's travelled all the way to the Philippines despite her objections. So if Mary's a good partner, she should want her future husband to be on good terms with his mum. She should want her child to have its grandmother in its life, in the same way that she has her grandparents in hers.
I still hope that me and my mom can have a very healthy relationship. It's what I want.
I need you to, be on my side.
The problem is, while Brandan's talking about how he needs Mary to make good with his mum so that he can work on having a relationship with her too, Mary is too busy worrying about herself. She tells Brandan that she needs him to be on her side. She expects him to back her up if there's an argument. If not, she warns, well, there will be consequences.
If Brandan's mom trying to create a problem with me and Brandan doesn't have my back, I'll just not gonna marry him.
It's sad to see how easily Mary dismisses her relationship with Brandan. Anytime he does something that she doesn't like, her default response is, I won't marry him then. It's as if she's holding the potential wedding over his head like blackmail. She's trying to force him to be exactly the kind of partner she wants, but not necessarily the type of partner he is. But as the following morning comes round, Mary and Brandan prepare for Brandan's mum's arrival.
Hey, Bobby.
How soon until your mom gets here?
My mom's bus should be here pretty soon.
Wait, sorry, stop. Rewind. There we are speaking about the type of partner that Brandan is, and you can clearly see he's just standing there watching his pregnant wife sweeping up while he doesn't lift a finger. That's exactly what Mary was complaining about, even before she was 5 months pregnant. But Brandan is clearly preoccupied today. His mind is on other matters.
I'm excited to see my mom, but I'm nervous of what's going to happen between my mom and Mary.
Yeah, he has a right to be nervous. You see, on top of all the tension that already exists between Mary and his mum, Brandan also reveals his mum was less than happy when she learnt the news that Mary was pregnant. I mean, yeah, who's surprised? You can't really blame her for that reaction. She was hardly alone. We were all screaming at our TV screens. In fact, if anything, judging by the flashback we see, his mum actually dealt with it quite well. She was very restrained.
Did you get that message about her being pregnant?
I did. I feel like there's some things you guys need to work on with yourselves before you bring in another human.
Now, unfortunately, that life guidance, those words of wisdom, are just too late now. Whatever she says isn't going to change the fact that the baby is on its way. For all the parenting that Brandan's mum might feel like she needs to make up for, the truth is, Brandan doesn't seem very receptive to it. He's clearly had to grow up fast, and what he lived through now means that he doesn't really seem to value his mum's opinion all that much. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't still love her.
My mom is recovering from her addiction. Like, worst case scenario, I don't want Mary to get into a fight with my mom, and I don't want my mom to have some sort of excuse to relapse.
It's really unfortunate that Brandan has taken that responsibility on himself. If this meeting goes badly, God forbid, if Brandan's mum relapses, that shouldn't be on him, that's on his mum. But judging by how he's speaking here, it's obvious that he would blame himself. So with that weighing heavily on his mind, both Brandan and Mary jump in a rickshaw to go and meet his mum. So speaking of Angela, how's she finding the Philippines so far?
When we were driving, I guess I wasn't prepared for what I saw. It's all poverty. It's all shacks.
There's nothing that can prepare you for the reality of poverty in a developing country. It can be really extreme, but thankfully, if Angela's expecting her son to be living in that kind of shack, well, at least she'll be in for a pleasant surprise. By comparison, the house that Brandan built for them all is pure luxury. Now, his mum hasn't seen any photos or footage of the final house, so it's understandable that she is nervous. This is all clearly a culture shock, but as Brandan and Mary pull up, Mary makes an offhand remark that really sets the tone for the rest of the evening.
Oh, she's so white.
Hi! Give me that buggy.
Really, Mary? Was that necessary? Straight out of the gate? Are you really there laughing and making fun of her complexion? It's immediately obvious that Mary has absolutely no intention of being the bigger person here, even if it's for Brandan's sake. But she can make all of the snide remarks that she wants, because the pure emotion, the sweetness, the love that exudes from Brandan and his mum is beautiful to watch. But it doesn't last long, because very soon things take an awkward turn.
Oh, this is Mary.
Hi, Mary. Nice to meet you.
Hug.
Why are you so white?
I mean,
You've
here?
lived here for like ever.
I'm actually more tan than when I got here.
Mary and Angela might have more in common than I originally thought. They both seem to love pointing out other people's whiteness. Now, the fact that Angela changed the topic of conversation purely to avoid hugging Mary wasn't lost on anyone. I'm not gonna lie, I was expecting Brandan's mum to be a bit more mature. But it's absolutely clear that neither of these ladies are willing to be the bigger person. And that is just gonna leave Brandan stuck in the middle.
The look in her eyes, it's that look that I recognize when you don't like someone and you're just pretending to be nice.
Oh, how wrong you are, Angela. I mean, you're right in the sense that Mary doesn't like you and she is pretending to be nice. But her face, well, that's just her face. She looks at Brandan all the time like that too. She's clearly a chip off the old block. But back to Mary versus Angela.
She has been manipulative. She has isolated my son from me and the rest of his family. And behind closed doors, she's going to make my son's life a living hell.
Now, for as true as some of that might be, she, as Brandan's mum, also has to take responsibility for how her son turned out. Sorry, it's harsh, but it's true. She's a very large part of the reason why Brandan's in the very delicate mental state that he's in. It's that mental state that's led him to this toxic relationship. If he sees his relationship with Mary as the best thing going in his life, well, that really raises some questions about what he lived through back in America. But Brandan is trying to build bridges, even if that leaves Mary feeling left out.
Those buses hit those corners hard, don't they?
Already, I feel out of place and I don't know what to say.
Sorry Mary, if you're expecting sympathy here, you're gonna get none. This is just real life consequences for your actions. If you treat people badly, then expect to be treated badly back in return. But it's no surprise that Mary's reaction to these consequences is to cry.
The way she looks at me like she's so mean, like a mean girl, that's how I feel.
Like, let's be honest, she's just standing there with that moody face of hers. She hasn't exactly tried to start a conversation. It's not like she's extended an olive branch of her own, but she wants us to believe that she is the victim. And with that kind of behaviour, it's no surprise that Angela has got her defences up.
As far as me and Mary having some sort of good relationship, that's not happening. And I refuse to walk on eggshells around anybody.
That is fighting talk from Angela, and you just know that these two are gonna clash. It's just a matter of time. Now, while I'm here for the drama, I'm also very conscious of what the collateral damage will be. Brandan's gonna be the one stuck in the middle. He's gonna be the one that gets the brunt of it on both ends. I just hope that with the two women that love him most in the world by his side, at least one of them stops to make sure that Brandan is actually okay.